Welcome back to Choices Were Made. Last week, we talked about our horrible month thus far. This week, we're going to be checking in with each other and talking about our fascination with the TV show My 600 Pound Life and how it shaped how we view health and fitness. How are you doing?
That is an interesting question.
It's always a loaded gun.
Like I just don't even like being asked, how are you? Well, I could laugh about it now, but I went to therapy after not going to therapy for a while and just kind of like sitting in the office, kind of like you had described, like just as soon as I sat down, I started bawling, and the therapist was like, "Okay, yeah, that's the kind of session it's gonna be today." And she gave me homework, so I've been, she told me to get back into, like you said, back to the basics. So meditating, and then she recommended that I go see a Reiki therapist because just to kind of get myself a little more stabilized.
How did she describe what Reiki was? Or did she describe it to you, or did you research it before?
Yeah, I tried Reiki in the past. Through like I tried Reiki virtually, but before in the past. And so she recommended someone, and I like to think that kind of the way that I view things sometimes is like you show up and you do what you need to do, and your angels, for me, my angels will get me where I need to be. And I feel like in that moment, like I had reached out to the girl who used to do my Reiki before, but she wasn't available and at that moment. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Like I'll wait until she's available. And then I went to therapy, and my therapist recommended another Reiki person to do it in person, which I had never tried before. And so I feel like in that moment, like she didn't know it, but like that's exactly what I was looking for, like for someone to do Reiki on me, because I tried it in the past and I felt really good. And she explained it to me as like, you basically, like, it looks like you have some stuck energy inside of you that you just need to like release. And so I went to see the Reiki because I was literally losing my mind. I was like, I just need to try something. And like, for me, getting back to the basics is doing the stuff that are going to help me be able to help myself feel better, which for me is meditation and Reiki. And so I went to the girl, and it was amazing. She did what she needed to do, and she made me feel better, and she recommended that I start journaling again. So yesterday I was on my way to the appointment when the nanny texted me, and she was like, hey, like, I think you need to come home because like your son, he got hurt and I think that it's bad. And I was like, oh my gosh. But knowing my kids, if you know my kids, you know that they are just like tough as nails. So like my first instinction was like, he'll get over it. Like, it's not a big deal.
And he falls like 500 times a day.
Literally falls so much at this point. Like, I don't even see it anymore. Like, he doesn't even cry anymore because he falls so much and he gets hurt all the time. But she was like, no, I think it's serious. Like, he won't stop crying. And I was like, okay, well, I ran out to an appointment. So just give him an ice pack and then I'll be back. And so she texted me again and she was like, no, I think you really need to come home. And I was like, okay, I'm on my way. So I finished my appointment and I came home, and he was really like, he was crying. And I was like, okay, like I've never seen him like that. So I think I need to take him to the emergency room. And, I did. I took him to the emergency room, everything. And it ended up being that he broke his leg. And he's 2 years old. So I felt so guilty because I didn't believe him. Like, the nanny was like, no, I think you really need to take him to the emergency room because I think he's really hurt. And I'm like, nah, he'll get over it. Like, rub some dirt in it, And so I did end up taking him. That all happened. And then I still had to come home. I still had to work. I still had to study, meditate, and journal.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I came home and I was just like, oh my gosh, I have so much I need to get done. But honestly, at the end of the day, I didn't feel overwhelmed. I just felt
That's
like,
good.
you know what? Like, it happens. This stuff happens. It's unfortunate. He can't walk for a couple of weeks. There's still a lot of stuff that we need to deal with, like getting him a cast and things like that. But I didn't feel like any type of overwhelmed. Like, I honestly felt really at peace with like, this is just, it happens. It happened, whatever. Nothing I could do about it now. I'm just going to stick to my plan, and I'm going to, find time to meditate and find time to journal. Even though my past self would have been like, I can't do any of that stuff because I'm busy. I have all this going on. Like, I just spent all day in the ER. Like, I'll do it tomorrow. But knowing that the people who are trying to help me recommended these things to me, I'm like, okay, I need to do the things that I need to do to stay well. And right now, more than anything, I need to stay sane because there's a lot coming. So I need to stay sane.
I'll be honest. I remember well, you told me that he broke his leg, and I was like, oh my God, this is gonna push her over the edge. So I remember I Snapchatted you and I was like, how you doing? And then you were like, oh, it's fine. You like told me that you were feeling guilty, but that it was fine. And I was like, I'll check in a little later. So then you got home and you were working, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna Snapchat her. So then I Snapchatted you and I was like, how are you really doing? And then that's when you were like that you were fine. And I was like, at first I was like, maybe she doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But then I was like, honestly, maybe she's just fine. I was like, I know that sometimes when really big things happen, we either react really poorly and we go back to like our bad behavior, or we genuinely just push through it. And sometimes it's like, it's a coin toss. It's going to be either.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I feel like I felt more guilty because like I said, I'm in the pits of tax season. I missed a whole day of work, and my past self would have been like feeling like, oh my gosh, and like now I'm so behind. I'm not going to get all my work done. I didn't get all my hours, and then like spiraling. But now I'm like, I had to go take care of my child. Like, you know, work. Nobody's going to die because their tax return isn't done, you know? I was like, I had to go and take care of my child. And that's what I did. And I came home and I did what I could. And I just moved on with my life, you know? And it's hard, obviously, like seeing him like that because he's such an active kid. But I think that, like, that's why I said, like, I showed up for myself, like, going and doing the Reiki and doing what I needed to do. And I got paid back with sanity. So I am very grateful that I ended up, you know, pursuing the things that I need to stay healthy, because maybe if I wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't have been in a good state of mind that day, and I would have really lost it. But I was so zenned out that
your angels
my angels did the work. But how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. I remember we talked that we both did our new thing of the month without even trying. Like, it kind of just happened. My new thing of the month that I talked about in my last episode was that I really wanted to make a mom friend. And my husband's cousin married this girl that we went to high school together. And we talked in high school, but we weren't really like friends. And now she just had a baby 2 months ago. And I had been checking in with her like during her pregnancy, during like her postpartum and stuff. But I had never really taken the step to like actually see her because I get really anxious in person. So I was like, no, like, I'll just wait until I'm ready. And she ended up texting me and asked if I wanted to go on a walk. And I was like, yeah, sure. So naturally, the whole day before and the day of, I was like freaking out. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to talk to her for like 2 hours about? And, you know, freaking out. And she ended up texting me and saying that she had like to like go do an errand, so that she had to cancel. And I was like, oh yeah, that's fine. But then she texted me again and she was like, do you want to go on a walk tomorrow? And I was like, if it was me before, I would have just been like, I can't, like I have to work, and then things would fizzle out and then we would never see each other. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. Like, sometimes I get really anxious and I'm like, okay, well, if I say no this time, then I have to say yes next time.
Exactly.
So I'm like, whatever, I'll just go. And I was so nervous and I was like, okay, what are we going to talk about? I was like, I'm not used to talking about my kids. Like, we get together and we complain about our kids, but like, not everyone is like that. Like, some people really just look at the positives of having kids. So I'm like, okay, I need to like feel this out, you know? So I started talking to her about like postpartum, like how she's doing, and telling her my experience, because I feel like a lot of the times we want to hear people's experience, but then we never really tell our experience.
Exactly.
So I was like telling her about like my postpartum journey and like now being a working mom, like having like my daughter growing up and stuff and being much more active and being in school on top of that. And we were just talking and bonding about like our husbands, how sometimes husbands don't pull their weight, even though they should. But honestly, I felt happy that I took that step. And I think it's something that's very out of the ordinary for me. And I'm hoping that, you know, we can make it like a weekly thing or like a monthly thing, and like talking and checking in with each other. Because I feel like she's in the pits of like newborn stage and I'm in the pits of toddler stage. So, and plus it helps that she was a preschool teacher. So like she knows all about the tantrums and stuff. And I don't know, I just feel like I'm slowly taking the steps to make myself feel better. And now that I'm back to working with my nutritionist, the first one that I had, I'm really getting back to the basics of like being sane and back to the basics of my nutrition and building that relationship with hopefully a mom friend.
That's awesome. I mean, that's really scary. And it's funny hearing you say that because like I put myself in her position where it's like asking someone to go on a walk and then being like, yeah, maybe one day or something like that. And you're like, maybe she's reaching out,
Exactly.
maybe she's trying to do her part, like reaching out to like have a community because she needs someone, so you guys kind of both need something, but I feel like maybe she's anxious and you're anxious. So even though you both need it, maybe you won't actually come together because of all that anxiety and stuff.
I mean, I feel like especially because we have known each other for so long, but we never really became friends. That it's kind of like that. I've known you forever. Like I knew the high school version of you, which is like completely different than the people we are now. But I mean, I feel like right now we're both kind of like reaching out for help. And I feel like that's because after the walk, I texted her and I was like, I really hope that we can be there to support each other because right now we're both in the pits of it. Like we're in different stages, but of the same thing. And it's so funny because I remember she got an induction and I remember sending her a voice note and I was like breaking down everything. I was like the balloon and the epidural and the Pitocin, like I wrote down everything because I feel like you can do all the research but no one's gonna tell you everything.
Yeah, exactly.
So I told her like my journey from like the moment I stepped in to the moment I stepped out, and it was like a 30-minute long voice note or something, like a podcast. And I was talking to her on our walk and I was like, oh, how do you think like the labor went? And she's like, honestly, no one prepares you for it. Like, even though you sent me that voice note, like there's nothing in the world that prepares you. Like just the same, but like nothing in the world prepares you for having your first kid. Like that transition of going from no kids to one kid, like no one prepares you for that. And I was like, girl, you're preaching to the choir. I was like, I know, like I remember feeling the same way. Like, I remember I told her about you. I was like, I remember my sister telling me that it was really hard, but you don't know how hard it is until you're in it.
Yeah.
Like there's no words and no research, no podcast will ever prepare you for it. But I told her, like, at least you and I know, like, we're in this little club of people that know what it's like. And like, hopefully we can just be there for each other.
Yeah, I actually have a retraction. So in our episode talking about marriage and kids, I said that, so when we got together to have champagne, like all of us, right? And I said that like after that, like after I confessed that like I was feeling like sad and stuff, like nobody reached out to me, but I was kind of like scrambling my memory of that time, which I pushed really far down because I was like, I don't ever want to relive that. And I remember that it wasn't that anybody didn't reach out. It was that I felt so embarrassed about having spilled, like about having like emotional diarrhea that I felt like that I felt embarrassed. Like I was like, oh my gosh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. So then I kind of then started to like try to not show that I was struggling because I felt like embarrassed that I had confessed all of that and that all that I was feeling, and I was under the influence of alcohol. So then it was like more than I probably would have said in a regular state of mind. And I was just, I got like a flash of that, like a memory. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember what it was, that feeling of feeling like I said too much or I said something that might have made someone feel uncomfortable. So then I just kind of left it as like, no, it's great, I'm fine. So then I wouldn't have to like relive having that. But there's this guy at work who I work really closely with, and he just had a baby. And he was out for a while. And so the day he came back into the office, I go marching to his desk and I just there and I'm like, let me tell you what's really about to happen. And I started to like scare him. And I'm like, being a parent is so hard. I was like, you're never going to sleep again. I was like, and I'm going to tell you like, and I was like, and you didn't ask me for any of this, but I'm going to tell you anyway.
I'm going to tell you anyway.
On your family, I was like, they're going to want to help you, and it's going to go against every instinct of you to accept that help, but don't. Like, you accept the help. You let them come and be with your baby and take him in and be with him, because that's all the time that you're going to get to sleep and be a person and take a shower. I was like, right now, everybody wants to help. So take advantage of that. I was like, don't let yourself get in the way of getting your time to be with you and your partner and your sanity. I was like, you get that help. Yeah. And it's so funny because in that moment, my boss, so like one of the partners came and he was like, oh, can I talk to you after, like, when you're done here, can you go can I go to my office? And I was like, yeah. So I'm talking to the guy, right, telling him all the scary stuff about being a parent, scaring him straight, basically. And then I go to my boss's desk. I was like, I'm so sorry. It was so important that I just tell this guy, like, the reality of being a parent. And he was like, oh, yeah, did you tell him that he's never going to have peace ever again in his life? Because we have, like, the same view on parenting. And I was like, yeah, I just had to tell him that. Because I was like, you know what? Like, he didn't ask for my advice, but I'm going to give it to him anyway.
Well, it's kind of like getting out of the stage of like, oh, my baby's perfect and they sleep all the time and they're eating perfectly. And I'm like, and I told my friend, I was like, I feel like it's so hard to get out of that stage of like wanting to make everyone else feel comfortable and telling them that being a parent is amazing. But in reality, like you're dying inside and you don't know how to let it out. And then on top of that, going through like the shame of after spilling your guts, like having people think, are they going to talk about me behind my back? Or do they think I'm a horrible parent? Like, do they think that I regret having my kids? Like going through all these things. And I feel like I posted the last reel that I did on our Instagram about me saying that I didn't want my whole life to be having my kids. And I remember I texted it to you and I was like, is this too controversial for Instagram? And my thought process was like, people are going to think that I regret having my daughter.
Yeah.
But in reality, like you can want a life and not regret having your kids. And I feel like the people that are listening to this podcast that maybe have a different point of view about having kids, like that's their mentality. Like they probably regret having their kids, or they probably don't love their kids, or like they're probably like they should have never had them or something. But in reality, like, yeah, we love our kids and we don't regret having them, but it's hard. And that's just the truth. And that's something that I will stand by. Anyone who is pregnant or has kids, like I tell them, don't be ashamed to tell the truth, because there's people, if someone's asking you, it's because they care. And sometimes I think, no, they're just asking to be polite. Like they don't really want to know. And it's like that podcast, Terrible Things for Asking. Like I want to say what I really feel, but are they really asking because they care? Are they just asking to be cordial, Yeah,
that's why I always kind of set the scene. I set the scene for people and I'm like, yes, I am the person to come to if you want to complain about how hard it is, or you want to tell the truth, or you want to, because there's people. And something that I don't know if I brought it up, that when I came back to work after I had my son, like everybody would stop me in the hall and be like, oh, how's your baby? How's your baby? And I wanted to scream at them. He's fine. I'm the one who's losing my mind. Like, what does he have to be like not good about? All he does is all day sleep and be loved. I'm the one who's not doing okay. And it was just like, for the longest time after you have kids, like the only question you get is how is your baby doing? It's never how are you doing? It's how is your baby doing? And so like, and it's really interesting because when I was talking to that guy, and he was like, I was like, yeah, it's really hard. I mean, you're never going to sleep again. He's like, yeah, like, we have to sleep every, 3 hours. And we're talking about the sleep schedule, about how like, you have to feed them and then burp them. And then by the time you put them to bed, they basically wake up you have to do it all over again. And he was like, yeah, like, I feel really guilty because I'm here at work while my partner's at home taking care of the baby. And I was like, yeah, I mean, like, it's hard because like, you think that like, oh, at least you get to go to work to get a break. But then like, you're dying at work because you haven't slept all night. So you have to go to work, perform at work, and then go home and take care of your baby and then not sleep all night and then go back to work. And it's like, both scenarios are not, obviously being at home with the baby, like you're not just on a vacation, you're also like taking care of the baby all day and feeding to their every need. And that's how I told them, I was like, lean on people who are offering their help. I was like, because he was telling me that it was the first grandchild on his side. So I was like, lean on them. They're going to want to come and visit you and see the baby and help. And everyone's going to want to help. So just accept the help. Please, I'm begging of you.
But I feel like you tell me your perspective, but from my perspective, I feel like postpartum, I've never had a second child, but I feel like postpartum must be even harder because you have all of these responsibilities and then there's people in your house wanting to be all up on your kids, but you have a whole nother schedule in life to tend to.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard, but I think the hard part for me was that I had less help, because I feel like with my first son, he was like the newest, most exciting thing in everybody's life. And so everybody wanted to help me. And then my second son came along and I did have help, but I would say not as much as I did with my first son. Or I didn't have as many people wanting to help, But I do remember like that point, it was very hard because I had broken my foot.
Oh my God, you're right.
I was 8 months pregnant and I broke my foot, and I had to, and they didn't want to put a cast on me because I was pregnant and there was too much risk of me falling. And so they had to put a boot on me. And so when I was giving birth, I had a broken foot. And so like from when I had my baby, still a month after I had him, I was in a boot. And so it was really hard because I came home and I was like 8 months pregnant, and the nanny had to help me to the bathroom, and she had to help me like walk because I couldn't walk. And it was so difficult. So then after the baby was born, I was still in a boot, but it was easier to get around. And I got induced. So he was only 5 pounds when he was born.
That's
so he was
insane.
tiny. And it was super hard just getting used to like having this new baby. And like you said, like having these responsibilities. But I feel like I did have a better grasp on like taking time for myself and leaning on the people around me, because at that time, our older sister was like, hey, I'm going to come help you for 2 weeks. And I remember the baby, he was born in the end of September, and we have a tax deadline the middle of October. So literally like 2 weeks after I had my baby, I went back to work because my sister my sister came to help me, and she was with me every single day. So I was like, okay, fine. Like if you're here to help me, like I'm going to take advantage of it and I'm going to do that. I think the hard part for me was letting the kids go places, because I felt like, well, I don't want Miranda to take both of them. Is she going to be able to take care of both of them? Or I don't want my mom to take both of them. And so that was a hard part, because it came from a time when my mom would take my oldest son and she would take him on Fridays and bring him back on Saturdays. So I had like all that time to myself, to now I don't want to let them go anywhere, because I can't imagine anyone being able to take care of both of them at the same time.
But I feel like that's like your MO. Like your MO is, I'm worried if this person is going to be inconvenienced by helping me. And I think that's something that I always tell you. Like, I'm offering my help. Like, take it. And when your son broke his leg and you were like, do you want a 2-year-old for a week? And I was like, I'll take it. I was like, I'm on spring break. I'm not doing anything. But I feel like that's your MO, and my MO is just shoving everything down and just not even pretending like it doesn't even bother me.
Yeah.
And those are really bad habits.
No, those are terrible habits. So it's like, I'm giving this guy this advice that I don't even take myself. I'm such a hypocrite, but it's like, because I know how hard it is, you know? But for me, that's spot on. Like, I never want to inconvenience anyone or feel like I'm asking them to do something or accepting help that they don't actually want to do. But they're just gonna do it because to be cordial. And I'm like, I never want that. And that is totally me. So that's why I hire help. That's why I have people come and help me. And so it's like, if I have a choice between hiring, like sometimes like no nanny, like I have a couple of babysitters who come on occasion, and sometimes none of them can. So I do have to reach out to like, but I feel bad. Like sometimes like my husband's family really wants to see the kids, but I feel bad because they have to come and get them because I can't take them and things like that. And I'm like, well, like, are they going to want to do that? Is that too much of an inconvenience for them? And so it's hard for me. I mean, I think it's always going to be hard for me to ask for help, but I think that I'm getting a little bit better at it. Like, especially when my nanny called out sick and I was like, I don't have any other options at this point. It's either I ask for help or I'm just going to sink.
Yeah. Well, getting into our theme of the day, I am so excited for this theme.
So excited.
I wrote my notes for this episode.
I'm so happy that you wanted to do this because I had brought it up and I was like, honestly, I think this would be the perfect, like, it's kind of like a little palate cleanser because like we've been talking about some rough stuff. But I'm like, this show is just such a big part of my life.
I feel like it's been such a big part of our life since we were younger. Like, because my mom got on the bandwagon of My 600-Pound Life when like it first aired. And I feel like we've been watching it forever. Like, I tell my husband, sometimes I'll just rewatch episodes. Like, I already know what's going to happen, but I like to rewatch them. But the only one I've never gotten into was My 600-Pound Life. Where Are They Now?
Oh, okay.
Because then I watched some and they end up gaining back the weight. And I'm like, but you were doing so good. Like,
yeah, it's crazy because that one, I think they follow them for like 10 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think so. And I never really got into it because I'm like you, like we were just talking about how the series itself isn't on any platform.
Yeah.
Like Hulu has like 5 seasons, random seasons. They're not even in order. And then which one did you say? Disney Plus has another bunch of seasons, but you were just telling me that it's still on the air.
Yeah,
so it's still on cable.
Yeah, there's still filming episodes. When I was doing my research for this episode, to give you guys a little bit of background, I was seeing that they're still filming. Like the last episode they uploaded was in 2025, which is wild because I haven't seen any of them past like the 10th season. Like there's so many seasons. But just a little bit of background on My 600 Pound Life. So I didn't know, but it's actually pretty controversial because of how Dr. Now treats his patients because, you know, he's a little mean to them. But honestly, I just think he's a crabby old man. Like, I don't really think it's to be mean. I think it's just him being crabby. Like,
he's just blunt.
Yeah. He's just honest.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like nowadays people aren't used to people being honest to them. So, like, he's just honest. Like, and he's direct. He's like, what are you eating? Like, because you're overweight.
Yeah.
Like, so you need to be eating something. And then people will go in and try to lie, obviously. Like, we all try to deflect the truth. And then he'll just, you know, call people out on the truth. And people take that badly, but I like it. So just a small disclaimer. There is some controversy to the show, but I just think it's him being honest. So for those of you that don't know, My 600 Pound Life is a TLC show that follows medical journeys of people who are severely overweight as they attempt to save their lives by losing weight and getting weight loss surgery. So these stories are very long. They're like an hour and a half to 2 hour long episodes, and they're pretty intense. And all of the people are over 600 pounds. I think the most overweight one that I've seen was like 950 pounds.
Yeah, me too.
And that person was pretty young. I think they were like in their 20s, right? And they were very severely overweight. And I'm pretty sure that person also had a drug addiction. So it was navigating like drug addiction and an addiction to food. So honestly, what I love the most about this show is that it goes into their emotional background. Like it goes into why they got to this place in the first place. And a lot of them honestly are traumatic childhoods, like sexual abuse, their parents were drug addicts. And like I would say 99% of them, their parents also had bad eating styles. Like they always had junk food around. They were shown love through food. All of this sounds very familiar because we went through this too. And it also goes to the physical challenges. Like some of these people, like they can't shower, they can't go down the stairs, like after weight loss surgery. So this show is filmed, I think in Houston, Austin, somewhere in Texas.
Well, the people are from all over the United States, but the doctor's in Houston.
In Houston, right? So when they get weight loss surgery, they have to move to Houston and they have to live there. Someone has to be able to take care of them. They have to be able to like, you know, like rent an apartment, rent a house, have someone and then after that they have to do physical therapy. They have to like get back on their diet, get back on like walking and stuff. And it's such a like a physical toll on them, but also a toll on the family dynamic because someone has to take care of them. Like I love one of the episodes. I'm gonna link some of our our favorite episodes on Instagram. But one of the episodes that I loved the most was of this, I think it was a Mexican family. The person was a woman who I think she was like around 700 pounds. And she talked about how, you know, how am I supposed to do this if my family around me is not eating the same way that I'm eating? And they all lived in one house. So she was like, I feel like it's impossible. Like we grew up eating all of this food all the time. Like that's how I was shown love. Like we would be eating and already planning our next meal. And I was like, this episode is hitting too hard to home. But she talks about that, and she talks about how like she had to sit down and talk to her parents because her parents were also overweight. Her sisters were overweight. Like everyone in the family was overweight. And she was like, yeah, maybe this started with me, but we all have to do it. Like maybe I'm the one that's the most overweight, but all of us need to change our eating habits. And I ended up following hers, and she's the only one that I did watch the Where Are They Now? And she ended up gaining all the weight back, which I was very upset about. And after that, I was like, I'm never watching these again. Like I like to just think, they're all being happy.
All doing perfectly.
They're all doing perfectly. Like some of them end up not getting the weight loss surgery and not losing the weight. So I end up knowing like, they probably didn't change their lifestyle. But the ones that do, I'm like, I like to believe they're off happy and that they're goal weight and eating the best.
Oh my God, just this show, just even talking about it is giving me like some dopamine hit because I just absolutely love, and I honestly haven't even read, and I, like you like, I don't have social media. I don't have the Reddit. I don't have anything. So I usually just take it at face value and just watch it for what it is. And I just absolutely like, we've talked so much about this, about how we love that. Okay, every episode is structured the same way.
Yeah.
So it starts out with them waking up and what it is to live a life in their bodies, and then like trying to shower, and then what they eat in a day.
That's my favorite
just the
part.
best part, like what they eat, because it's like, yes, all of that looks scrumptious. A lot looks delicious. Like that looks so good.
Like I don't want to be eating that right now.
I want to be eating that. And it just talks about like what they eat, and then it goes into their background and their most of the time their childhood and the traumatic things that happen in their life. And then and they start talking about, seeking out Dr. Now to get weight loss surgery, and then how they get to him, because sometimes, most of the time, they have to go and see him for their first appointment. So like I said, most of these people are from all over the United States. So they travel sometimes 15 hours to go see him.
And a lot of them have to drive
because
they can't afford all three of the airplane seats, because they have to buy the whole row.
Yeah. Or some of them, like, they can't even walk to the airplane. They can't even get on the airplane. And so they have to drive, and their journey on driving to go see Dr. Now, which, like, I always think, like, you literally just go and you're there, they weigh you, and then you go all the way back home. And then he's like, okay, like, what are your eating habits? Like, why do you think you're struggling with not changing?
That's my favorite part of the show. Watching these people say, well, I didn't really eat anything.
I didn't really eat that much. And then he's like, you're 700 pounds. Like and then like he breaks it down. He's like, you have to be eating at least 15,000 calories a day in order to sustain your weight. And that's when he hits them with the scale doesn't lie. People do. And so tell me, and it's like, it just goes to show you like how in denial they are about their own eating habits, and like they don't want to see it. And then he gives them a book to read, to do exercises, and he puts them on 1,200 calorie a day diet.
Crazy.
Which, like, if there's anything that I could say controversial, it's that.
Yeah,
I think
that's
like
pretty controversial.
these people are eating like between 10,000 and 15,000 calories a day.
And a
minimum. And then from one day to another, they have to eat 1,200 calories a day. And the way that he explains it is that basically your body stores that food. And so he even tells people, because people will tell him like, that's impossible. How do you expect me to eat only 1,200 calories a day? I'm going to starve. And he'll be like, you're not going to starve. You've eaten the food for at least 5 years.
That's my favorite.
He's like, you already ate enough food for the next 5 years, so you don't even need food. And he just, like, yes, he is rude. But I think that when you're in that state of denial, maybe that's what you need. You need someone to come in with a tough love and be like, no, and he tells him, like, if you do not change your life, you're going to die.
Yeah. Well, especially looking, because I love how it shows their entire life. So it shows them in their house.
Yes.
And seeing how so many people are enabling them.
Yes.
And then having Dr. Now come in and being so blunt and honest, like they need that. Like they don't need just another person in their life enabling them. Because a lot of the times these people they live with their parents, or they have a spouse. So then their spouse has to be the one to take care of them. And I would say a solid 80% of the episodes that I've seen, they can't shower by themselves. So someone has to shower them. Someone has to wipe them. Someone has to change them. Like they have to cook their meal. So like, if this person, and they have to go to the grocery store. And that's the part that I love. Like seeing how they write out everything they want. And then your family member goes and buys them these things, knowing that that's like going out and buying them drugs. Like that is killing them. And then having them say like, I don't know how it got this bad, or I don't know why this is happening. Like you're the one that's providing their drug, because like literally food is an addiction. And I've learned in my classes, I was very shocked to learn that an eating disorder is one of the most dangerous addictions, because you have to eat. And so imagine you're addicted to something that you have to consume to keep you alive. Like a cocaine addiction, like alcohol addiction, like your body doesn't need that, but your body needs food. It is fuel. It is what keeps you alive. So seeing all these people be addicted to something that they need in their body is crazy to me.
Well, on one of the episodes, I'm not sure if it's the one you mentioned, but this will always stick with me. It gives me shivers just to think about. But one of the guys who was on one of the episodes, he was talking about how, you know, he grew up. I think he was some type of athlete, and he got injured, and he got addicted to drugs. And he said that it's the food addiction is harder to recover from than the drug addiction. He's like, I left the drugs. I've never done drugs ever again since I got clean, but I cannot get a control of my food addiction.
Yeah.
And that just goes to show you that it's like, it is so strong. And like you said, you need it. And when they talk about their experience with food, and when they talk about like that feeling they get when they take that first bite, I'm like, yes, I feel that so hard in my core. I'm like, yes. I'm like, there is nothing. The only thing stopping me from me to there is I don't even know what, luck, or I don't know.
Honestly, probably luck. Like, every time I watch those episodes, I think like that could have been us. Like,
Yeah.
we grew up the same way. Like, we grew up the same way where, you know, every weekend was pizza, chips, ice cream, always a party, always planning our next meal. Even now,
Yeah.
always planning our next meal when we're having our current meal. Like, love, like food was a love language growing up. Like, that was the ultimate way of saying I love you. Like, if I told my mom I'm sick, she'll make me soup. If I told my mom, oh, I'm craving this, she'll make it the next week. And yeah, she won't tell me that she loves me, but she'll show me with food. And I watch these episodes and I hear these people describe like what eating feels like to them. And like, I feel that so hard after a long day and being like, oh, like, today's my cheat meal. I'm going to have some Wingstop, and I'm going to be in bed watching my show and eating my Wingstop. Like, that is my happiness. Like, when my therapist told me to make a list of what makes me happy, that makes me happy. And I feel like the only thing that separates me from getting there is the fact that it sounds bad, but it would cause me so much shame to be that size. Like, I think our family, we grew up around so many people that would comment about our bodies that it just got ingrained in my head. Like, I can never be like that. I can never be that big. But these people didn't have anyone telling them that. So it's like, yeah, they would give them food to show them love and then not tell them that, you know, if they gained weight, that they would be ugly. But we grew up like that. So in my mind, it's like, no, I can never be that fat because then I'm going to be ugly.
Well, I think that like we grew up in like an environment where like food is always the center of everything. Yeah. Like when they talk about like, there was this one episode, like there's these like moments that just stick with
my head.
me. And there's this one episode, this lady who she would have her husband go and bring her the food. And she was like, yeah, like my husband knows that eating is such a personal experience for me that I want to be left alone when I'm eating. And I'm like, same.
I'm
like,
the same way.
When I'm eating, I have my TV in front of me, my food, and nobody better talk to me because I want that moment to just be the highlight of my day. Like eating my favorite food, watching my favorite show just in aloneness. Like that is something that, and then when she's like, they say these things that I'm like, yes, I totally understand what you're talking about. But like they have, like you said, these enablers in their life. And I feel like maybe we never had that. But they have people in their life, different types of enablers. Sometimes it's partners who are enabling them because they don't want them to become independent.
Oh my gosh. Right now when you said that, I don't know if you watched one of the episodes. I mean, you probably have. You've watched every single episode. But one of the episodes, it was this African-American couple, and it was the woman that was overweight. And so she started working with Dr. Now. She lost a bunch of weight, and her husband left her because he had like a fetish for people that were overweight.
Yeah.
And then I was like watching this, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then she's like, okay, he loved me when I was fat, so maybe I should just gain back the weight. And then I remember in that time, Dr. Na was like, if you do that, it will kill you. Like, are you willing to kill yourself for this man? And I was like, yeah, Dr. Na, she shouldn't be killing herself for that man. And I was like, that is so sad. And she ended up not gaining back the weight, but and then she talks, because they do like testimonials. So it's a day in their life, and during that day in their life, they're like describing their life, their childhood, and then it's actually them talking in real time. And she just started talking about how she feels like the only time she's ever been loved is when she was overweight, because she was overweight as a child. And so her mom would show her love through food, so gaining weight, and then her husband would show his love through food, so she would gain more weight. And she's like, now that I'm losing weight, I feel like I'm unlovable. And I'm like, that is insane. And for me, it's the opposite. It's like, if I gain weight, I'm going to be unlovable. If I gain weight, people are going to comment on my body. And that's why, like, for me pregnancy was so hard because I ended up gaining like 40 pounds during pregnancy. So by the end, I was like, I'm never going to be loved again.
Yeah.
Like, does my husband even love me, or does he just love me because we just had
Yeah.
a baby? And now that I've lost 60 pounds, like, I still feel that. I'm like, I don't even see a difference. Like, have I even really lost the weight? And I feel like these stories are just hit so hard to home that it gets so scary sometimes. Like, they'll be talking and I'm like, that's literally me.
Yeah, or like it's like we talk so much about this, about how like it's like every single segment, it's like when they're eating the food, I'm like, yeah, that's something I would eat. That is something. And it's like when they talk about like not being able to stop eating or feeling like you're never going to have that food again. And sometimes I feel like that. Like sometimes when I have my cheat meal and it's always McDonald's and I go and I get my meal and I feel like I have to finish everything on my plate because it's like my last meal, and I'm like, McDonald's isn't going out of business. Like I'm going to have this again next week, but I can't understand that logically.
I feel like for me, that's the hardest part. Like for me, the hardest part is accepting that one meal isn't going to kill me. And also, I can have this meal again, so I don't have to eat it all right now. And also, it's something that has really, really impacted me. I honestly feel like my entire life is food noise, like constantly and consistently thinking about food. And that's something that to this day, I feel like affects me so much because I don't know about you, but you know, we get together every Sunday or every Friday and have family dinner. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I won't eat that because I'm like, oh, when I leave, I'm going to like buy some food and I'm going to eat at home, like hella comfortable. But I don't want to eat it there because, you know, there's people and people are talking to me and the kids are running around and it's so loud and I'm already overwhelmed. I'm like, at this point, I'm going to eat and I'm not even going to like, it's not going to satisfy me. Like, it's not going to make me happy. And like, I want that dopamine hit of like, oh, my food is making me happy.
Well, it's because food is an experience for us. It's exactly what that lady was saying. And it's like, I totally get that. Like, I like sometimes like I'll go to a family party and be like, you know what? Like, and I think for us, it's become like those calories aren't worth it, right?
Yeah,
and I'm
literally,
like, I'm not going to eat that because I am not in the mood. And if I'm already going to take in those calories, I'd rather it be something that I want.
Exactly.
And so on my way home, then it's like, I'm all excited because when we leave, I know that I'm going to stop usually at McDonald's or Wingstop. Those are my two. And it's like, I told you that like, because I've been so on my diet that like I literally bought like those DoorDash bags to keep my food warm, like specifically because for me, the whole thing is an experience. It's like, okay, like on Saturdays when I have to work, you know, if the kids aren't home or nobody's home or whatever, I usually wait until nobody's home because I want that to be the best experience possible.
Sacred.
The sacred experience. So I already know that like I'm going to have my bags. I'm going to order. I'm going to get to Wingstop before the order is supposed to be ready. So the food is exactly warm, like freshly warm. I put it in the bag. I put it in the trunk. And then I go home and I sit down. I turn on the TV. I take everything out of the bag. And it's like, for me, it's like a ritual. Like it's an experience to me that's like, I need it to be perfect.
Yeah. I feel that's so hard I never get any time in my house by myself. So my husband is always there. And every time I want like something from like street food, he's like, yeah, order me something too. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So then I order him his food too. And then he's like, oh, come on, let's eat together. And I'm like, that's not happening. Like, I was like, who are you talking to? I'm like, no, I'm going to sit here and watch my show and unpack my food and like be happy. And he's like, and he had never asked me ever. And then like recently he's like, why do you always do that? Like, you just like to eat by yourself in the dark, like just watching TV alone. And I'm like, that's just my way of like de-stressing.
Yeah.
It's my way of like the one thing in my week that makes me happy. Like it's what I look forward to all the time. And yeah, it's something that I want to do by myself. And then he'll always, I don't know about you, but he'll always say, oh, well, let's the three of us, like me, him, and our 18-month-old daughter go to a restaurant. And I'm like,
Lordy,
that is absolutely never happening. I was like, I'm not going to spend $200 to go eat food in front of people that I like to eat by myself. For our daughters to just be grabbing everything, throwing everything, you trying to talk to me while I'm eating, like that sounds
have you
actually
guys ever
horrible.
done that before?
Yes, we have.
And he still wants to do it again?
He wants to do it again. And I'm like, I feel like he's one of those people that like forgets how traumatic it is. And then he's like, oh, let's try it again.
That's funny because my husband and I finally got to the same place where like now he refuses to go to restaurants. And for the same reason that he's like, no, I'll just go and pick it up and I'll bring it home because it's so much more peaceful for us to have that. But I feel like my husband is the same way. Like when he eats, which this is a bad habit that eventually like I need to break, but I don't want to because it's something that brings me happiness.
Later you.
This is a later me problem, but like I do see it being problematic because I'm like, I'm sitting eating my food with my phone. He's sitting eating his food with his phone. And then the kids are watching a movie on the TV while they're eating their food. Like there's no sync.
Sounds
right?
like bliss to me.
And I'm like, well, maybe that's something we have to change, but it's like the same thing. Like, I think my husband is more like, let's eat together, even if we're both watching our separate phones, let's eat together. I'm like, no, like, how about you eat and I'll watch the kids and then I'll eat and you watch the kids because like, I hate being like having to like, and I think for me, for the longest time, like I never understood like eating for fuel. It was eating for
fun,
for fun or for like satisfaction or for like that dopamine hit. And so like now I'm like, well, no, I want to eat my chicken and broccoli in peace. Like I don't want to like be eating and then have to go attend to the kids and then my food is cold. And then I'm like, at this point, what's even the point of eating?
Well, it's kind of like this idea of that when I'm eating my healthy food that is part of my diet, like I can just eat it, multitasking. I can eat it on the go. I can eat it this and that because it's not sacred.
Yeah.
But when it's fast food or when it's food from the street, like it has to be sacred because it's like what I'm looking forward to all the time. And it's something that I've been looking a lot into because I really want to break this horrible habit of having to eat by myself. And for me, I notice it more when I'm like, no, I like to have all the lights off with my TV and everything. Like I do it in the dark. And it's something that I really want to change because I know that it's not sustainable. I've been reading a lot of books and listening to a lot of podcasts about it. And it's basically just talked about how it's something that like kind of like a drug addiction where like you do it in the dark. Like you do it like no one else knows, It's like it gives you more like dopamine and adrenaline doing it when no one knows about it. And it's kind of like that's the truth. Like if I don't eat at a party and my mom will ask me like, oh, like, are you going to eat after something? And I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm just not hungry.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to admit that I'm going to go and eat something that's fast food. And it's something that I've been noticing a lot recently that I have to change. But it's the same as you. Like, I don't want to. Like, it's my happy place. But I feel like I want to get to a point where I don't have to eat it in the dark. Like I don't have to make it a whole sacred ritual kind of thing because our sister with her husband, she was telling me the other day that they did like couples therapy before they got married. And part of their thing was that they wanted to like talk more. And they both like have jobs. Like they were both in school at the time. And our sister was like, yeah, we ended up having to do this thing where we would eat dinner together, no screens, no music, sitting across from each other and telling each other about our day. I'm like, that is actually terrifying.
That is very terrifying.
Not do that.
That is something I would be telling for sure.
But then she was sharing with me that like she felt the same thing. That like eating is her sacred time. Like that is like she likes to watch her show and she likes to like, do things while she's eating dinner. And I'm like, I don't think I could ever do that. Like I like to think I would get to a place where I could do that, but I don't think I can.
Well, I wonder if a lot of it comes from like the feeling of shame of eating, because like I do know, like I noticed like, especially, I think it's so funny that in 600 Pound Life, like the producers, like they won't out them because, right, like it happens to be that like they go to Dr. Now, they get their diet and then they come back in a month and they have to get weighed to see if they lost. Like he usually gives them between 40 to 70 pounds, like 40 to 100 pounds within 1 to 2 months.
Yeah.
And they'll talk about, I think it's so funny how they'll be like, yeah, I've been super good on my diet. And they'll come back and they like gain weight or something. Yeah. And we're like, it would be so easy for the producers to like show what they don't. Like so show like what they actually eat, And I think that's something that I have a hard time with. That's why I can't buy junk food. I only have to buy the food that I'm going to eat. And I think I Snapchatted you like last week and I was like, I really want to cheat on my diet, but I only have healthy food in the house and I'm so mad at myself for not buying myself a little snack. And it's like that thing because like usually on Sundays, I'll go to the grocery store and I'll buy my meal prep food, but I'll also buy myself like a snack that I can only have that day. And sometimes like I won't eat it all. And so like there'll be some leftover and I'm like, oh, I won't eat it. And I say I'm not going to eat it. But then I find myself like going and just taking like, it's usually cookies and I'll just take a little piece. And then a little bit later, I'll just take another little piece. And by the time like I already ate half of the cookie or the whole cookie and it's like, but you kind of put yourself in denial. You're like, oh no, like it's just a little piece and it's just a little piece. And when you really actually realize it, it's like, no, I had a whole cookie. And like, I'm not talking about a little Oreo. I'm talking about those big cookies they sell at Safeway. So it's like, it's so easy to be in denial with yourself.
But I feel like that's what makes the vicious cycle a cycle, because then like you'll feel guilty that you ate the cookie. So then you're like F it, I'm just gonna like ruin my whole day and I'll just get fast food later and I'll just be better tomorrow.
Yeah.
When in reality, like if you would have just sat down, ate the cookie and gotten over it, everything would have been fine.
Exactly.
But that's my vicious cycle too, where like I can't have junk food in the house, but it's really hard because my husband likes his snacks. Like, and I'm not anyone to tell him like what he can and can't have in the house, but he'll buy his own snacks. So then I just open the pantry and it's just staring at me like eat me, just a little bite, just a little bite. But then I'm like, no, I'm not going to have the snack. And it's like, it's not mine. It's my husband's. I'm not going to eat it. And then, I'm going to go have a little bite. And then I have a little bite. And then I end up having another little bite. And by the time I know, I already ate half the bag. Yeah. When in reality, if I would have just served myself in a little Tupper what I wanted to eat and went to go eat it, I would have been satisfied.
Yeah.
But it's the shame part.
It's the shame,
it's of like, I don't want to serve myself in a plate because that makes it real. That makes it that like I'm actually eating it. When it, like, if I just take a little bit, it's fake. It's not real.
Yeah. It doesn't count. And that's why, I mean, like Dr. Now will tell them, because it's so funny, because they'll go in and they'll be like, I don't know what happened. I was so good. I did not eat anything that wasn't on the diet. And Dr. Now will be like, if you follow the diet, you would have lost like 100 pounds in 1 month. So you didn't follow the diet. So tell me the truth, And they're like, I don't know. And then that's when like the enablers come in, and sometimes it's partners and sometimes it's parents and sometimes it's the parents. Like I see a big trend where like maybe the parents weren't the best parents when they were younger. So now as adults, they're trying to kind of like cover up the bad by enabling them and giving them everything they want now as adults and giving them food and cooking for them. Because sometimes I see people who live alone and their parent comes to their house, cooks for them and buys them groceries, or even like DoorDashes their food for them. This is a petition for My 600 Pound Life. If you're not the producers, don't listen to this. I want to see on the screen how much they're spending. Yeah. And the calories, like their calorie intake. I want it broken down. I want to see it. I want a spreadsheet of everything. Because like, imagine how expensive that is. Like my husband and I, we do our budgeting. So we only eat out once a week. We eat out once a week and it's $250 a month. Yeah. Just eating out once a week. Yeah. And that's fast food. That's not even going to like restaurants. Yeah. And so I'm like, these people eat out. Some of the people eat out breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snack every single day for the past like 20 years. How much money? Like that's so much money. I will never understand. Yeah. I will never understand like how they even live like in like a logical thinking way. Like, or I don't understand how they sustain themselves. Yeah. A lot of these people live alone. So their rent, their utilities, they have to DoorDash everything. They go to the grocery store every couple days and they spend hundreds of dollars. They go like to McDonald's. Like I remember I saw this one episode, this guy who went to Popeyes and he spent $100 at Popeyes for his.
Is that when you told me that you wanted Popeyes?
No. I was listening to the Doughboys. And it's like, I was like, oh, that sounds good. And I've never had it.
I was like, that's so random. What do you mean?
Popeyes. And I was like, oh, like, and they opened one here close to where I live. And I was like, oh, I wonder how it is. But then it's like, but this is another thing for me that it's like, I don't want to try new things because I don't want my calories to be ruined by a bad meal.
Always tell my husband that. He's like, you're so picky. You don't like trying new food. And I'm like, no, I'm not picky. I just don't want to waste my calories and my time and my money on something I'm not going to like.
Exactly.
Like, if I go to McDonald's, I'm ordering the same exact thing every time.
And I know it's going to be good.
And I know it's going to be good. I know exactly how it's going to taste. I know exactly how fast I'm going to eat it.
I know it's going to hit.
Exactly. I know it's going to hit. Like, it's like, It putting it in perspective is like a drug addict. Like, I'm not going to go try a new drug if I like this drug.
Yeah,
like,
this drug does it for me, so I'm going to stick to that
like,
one.
The other drug could kill me. This drug is not going to kill me like that fast. So, like, I know exactly what I'm getting, and so I'm not surprised. And it's the exact same thing of, like, wanting to eat alone. Like, I don't want to have a conversation. Like, what if you bring up something that's going to like upset me or something that's going to bother me? Like, I don't want my meal to be ruined. Like, it is my sacred time. Like, I have everything calculated, everything planned. I know exactly all of the details. So like that also, I feel like that also fulfills a part of me. Like I like everything to be planned, and I like to know what I'm expecting. And that's why watching these My 600 Pound Life shows, I don't know what to expect. Like that's why I like to rewatch them, because I know what to expect. But like the new ones, I watched when I was in Mexico, I was watching My 600 Pound Life Mexico.
Oh, that was really good.
I had never watched that one. I remember you told me that it was really good, but you can't watch it here. So I watched it when I was in Mexico. And I remember watching these episodes, having such anxiety. Like, oh my God, are these people going to lose the weight? Are they not going to lose the weight? Are they going to die? Are they not going to die? Like, I remember feeling so anxious. And it's the same thing of like, I like to rewatch shows because I know exactly what's going to happen. I know exactly how their life is going to turn out. And I feel like it just fulfills so many parts of my brain that it's like, what other thing is going to give me the same amount of pleasure, you know? And that's, I feel like when we started our new thing of the month, but nothing gave me the same pleasure as buying McDonald's and eating it in the dark.
I know. I totally get that. And I feel like it's something like, especially now that we don't consume it as much, it definitely becomes something more sacred. And it's like, but it's like, it's different because I know that like I used to go to McDonald's and I had like my same order. And now like if I eat that same order, it makes me sick. So it's like, I have to be really conscious. And it's like so funny because I started journaling again and I had left a note in my journal because like I have my journal and then I have like a little greeting card. And in that greeting card, I put like highlights, like things that constantly come up in my brain. And I had put in there a note to myself that said, I don't like how unhealthy food makes my body feel. Because I always happens to be that like I go to these places, I overeat way more than I should. And then I feel so sick. Like for the rest of the day, like I'm basically shot because I don't know when to stop. I don't know. Like, and sometimes, I don't know if this happens to you, but I eat so fast, I don't let my body realize that it's full. So I eat way too much to the point where it's too far, like my body's too far gone. And then it's like, and then I end up being sick because I don't know how to listen to my body that, okay, you're full. Or to eat slow enough to let my body realize that it's full.
Well, it's like I want to eat it all so fast because I want to eat it all before my brain acknowledges that I'm full. And it's like such a toxic trait. Like, that is so toxic. And I try very hard not to do that as much now. But when I was living in my studio, the first time I was living alone, that was a huge problem for me. Like from the time when I was like 21 to 20, like I want to say like 22, 23, I gained like 30 pounds before getting pregnant. Like before any of this, having children, I gained 30 pounds just from living alone. And I was like, wow, I can eat anything I want and no one's going to know.
Exactly.
Like that was my moment when I realized, okay, this is a problem. Like I have like some kind of eating disorder because this is like, and it's not even that it was like once a week or something like that. Like it was every single day. Like I would make dinner and then go buy Taco Bell or something. Or like when I was living at school, when I was living in college, I would like get out of class and I'm like, okay, I was living in a dorm room. Like I didn't have anywhere to make dinner. I didn't have anything. Like the food hall would close at like 9. So I got into this really bad habit of going to McDonald's and ordering a ton of food because I was so hungry. And then I was like, and at that point I was working with the lawyer, so I was making my own money. And I was like, I just spent like all of this money on food. Like I'm not going to let that money go to waste. I have to eat it.
Yeah.
And I got into this horrible habit, and now I've broken it for the most part. But those were the times when I also feel like I was the most depressed because I was like gaining all this weight. And I was so in denial about it. I was like, okay, I don't think anyone else is noticing, but like, I'm like killing myself with food. And that's when I realized I was like, okay, like this is not sustainable. And it took me a really long time. And I don't think it was until like after I had my baby that I was like, I'm like killing myself. And just because I'm not 600 pounds doesn't mean I'm not killing myself.
Well, like in the show, I think that's kind of like, because I think a lot of people like, at least when I watch the show, because I watch the show and my husband does not like to watch the show. And a lot of people, like when we mention it, they're like, oh, I don't like watching that show. And I think the first comment that always comes out of their mouth is, how did they even let themselves get that big? Or like, how is that even possible? Or like, how could you not notice?
It's easier than you think.
But it's like, it's easier than you think because just like you're describing, like, okay, I'm going to go to McDonald's and I'm going to buy my normal order, which is large fries, 2 cheeseburgers, and a 6-piece chicken McNuggets with buffalo sauce.
No pickles.
No pickles. Cheeseburger, no pickles. And that would be my order. But then eat that and you want more. So then maybe next time you get 10 McNuggets and maybe next time you get another cheeseburger or maybe next time you get 2 fries. And that's how you go, like, little by little, stretching your stomach, eating a little bit less because, like, your stomach literally stretches depending on how much food you eat. Like, and so you go and you eat more every time, a little bit more, every time a little bit more. And over time, all of a sudden now you need 10,000 calories to satisfy your hunger because your stomach is bigger. And then you need 15,000 calories. And it happens so gradually, maybe, that you're in denial. You don't notice it. And it's like, that's what I say. It's like, there is not much that separates us from them because it's like, it's crazy to think that it's like all of their same feelings, all of their same emotions. I have them. I relate to them.
I follow this girl on Instagram, and she's a model, and she talks about how, like, she's suffered her entire life with an eating disorder, but the fact that she's, like, now she's skinny, people don't realize that she's still struggling inside. Like, she's like, they don't realize that just because I'm 120 pounds, it doesn't mean that I don't constantly think about food. It doesn't mean that when I take a bite of that burger, I'm not in, like, another universe of happiness. Like, I lost the weight and now I'm thinner and now I'm more athletic and I work out and I do all of this, but it's still inside of me. She's like, it's still something that I carry every single day, and it's that food noise that kills me every single day. And I feel like that's what a lot of the people in the show talk about. Like, they talk about how it's not just about changing your diet. It's changing the way you think. It's changing the way you think about food, think about yourself, and intrusive thoughts that you can't change. Like, it's something that you live with forever. And people will say all of this stuff about how to fix food noise of like, just eat more protein, or like, just do this. Like, that's not changing my thoughts. Like, it's not changing my cravings because I know what that food tastes like. Like, I know that food is going to hit every single time I eat it. So it's like drugs the same way. Like, drugs are going to hit every time I use them, but that one time could kill you. Like, that one time of eating like too big of a McDonald's meal and all the sodium is going to make you have a heart attack. Like, that could kill you. And sometimes I'll be eating and I'm like, okay, I have to stop, or else like maybe all the sodium is going to get to my body and I'm just going to go into like a salt attack and I'm going to die or something. Like sometimes those thoughts cross my mind and I'm like, is this really the way I want to go out eating McDonald's in the dark?
Well, it's like drugs. Like, every time you need a bigger dose in order for it to hit just like you wanted it to. But like, it's just interesting to see like all of their challenges. And I think that, like, for me, something that's like the most shocking when I watch it is like most episodes start the same, where the person wakes up and they're like, honestly, I'm surprised I even woke up. Because
oh my God,
they're like, I am just waiting to just not wake up one day because they know like how much they actually need the help. But it's like going in there and not being able to change their life because the people around them are enabling them, because the people around them aren't changing their life. And so now they have to eat, their salad in front of people eating the meals that they love the most. And that's when Dr. Now, like, he sends them to therapy. He sends them to
I love those episodes.
The famous Dr. Paradise. Love him. I love him so much. He is so blunt, just like Dr. Now. And I love it because he'll always just tell them straight up, like the truth about what they're going through. And I think it's so funny because he's like this little man. And it's like these people who, and I'm so intrigued why he went into helping people who struggle with weight issues. Like, I'm so intrigued by that. We should have him on because I'm like, how did this field, like this part of the field, like call to you? Because it's so interesting. But, he tries to get through to them and try to get them to understand that, like, you are killing yourself and this is a form of self-abuse. You are like, why are you doing this? And just going back to their childhood. And most of them had really traumatic childhoods where food was their only source of happiness.
Yeah. And I feel like the ones that hit me the most are the ones that say that food was their escape. Like, they were going through like either they're like parents like watching domestic violence, or like their parents would hit them, or they would like be sexually abused, and how food was the only thing that made them happy because it was the only constant. Like, they knew exactly how it was going to make them feel. That's what made them happy. That was their escape. And watching them, not every episode has therapy, right? Not every episode.
Not every episode.
But the ones that do, those hit so hard. Like, I love those episodes. Like, they go to therapy and just listening to them realize why this is happening. Because like as an outsider, I can say like, yeah, obviously you overeat because you went through a traumatic childhood.
Yeah.
But they maybe don't connect those two. And I know for me, like a lot of the times I'll think, why am I like this? And then I'll think back and I'm like, oh yeah, that's why I'm like this. But other people like don't want to do that self-reflection of like, I went through this and that's why I'm coping with this. And honestly, it's a maladaptive behavior that I have to change. But a lot of the times people don't get there. Like, and it's sad to say, like, they don't talk about it on the show, but I imagine a lot of people die before even being able to have an opportunity like this of going to doctor now. Like, I would be interested to know the statistics, but I imagine like all of these people that go their entire lives feeling alone. Like, I think in the show, they say that the average age of someone who's 600 pounds is like 38 years old or like something like that.
Wow.
I'm like, that's not even half of your life.
Yeah.
And you die because of like just the way that you cope with your problems.
No, something that just came to my mind is that I think Dr. Now is the only doctor who does surgery on people who are over 600 pounds. And that's why his show was such a big hit at the beginning because there's a lot of other shows now.
But they're not
I watch them and these people, their patients are 400 pounds, 500 pounds.
Yeah.
But Dr. Now, I think, like you said, his largest weight was like 900 pounds.
900 plus. Like,
900 plus pounds. So it's like he works with people who are severely obese. And so like his area of expertise is like this niche,
like morbidly
obese, like people who can't function for themselves, like, and all this stuff. And he is their only hope because he's the only doctor who will even try to help them at any point.
And I feel like that's where a lot of like shame comes from, because I know for me, and this is something that I've talked about with my best friend, but for a long time, I never wanted to go to the doctor because I didn't want to get weighed.
Yeah.
Like as soon as you walk in, they weigh you.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to know how much I weigh. So I started becoming very shameful. So then I stopped going to the doctor. And I remember when I was writing my notes for this episode, I remember being like 10, 12 years old and my doctor's telling my mom that I was overweight. And I was like, overweight? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And so I would like, back then we had a desktop computer in the living room. So like everyone would use, there was like a communal computer. So we would all use it. And I remember like looking up overweight. And then all of these things would come up. And then I started looking up like how to lose weight. I was like 10 years old looking up how to lose weight. Like remember all of this. And and at that time, I remember telling my mom, like, I want to lose weight. And so that's when like I remember we started going to like the gym together, and we started like, she got me like a personal trainer, and I started realizing like activity wasn't my problem. My problem was the food. And so like, yeah, I can work all I want on the activity. I can go to the gym every single day, but if I'm still eating like this, I'm never going to get better.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what people think in the show. They're like, yeah, it's like, I remember I watched one episode of this girl that said, oh yeah, maybe I might overeat, but I drink a lot of water. Like the water's gonna save me. And I'm like, that is just another way of coping. And that's what I would use as a coping mechanism. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go on a 30-minute walk and then I can eat whatever I want. But in reality, that's not the truth.
Yeah.
And that's something that Dr. Now tells these people. Like, there's no way of excusing it. Like, the only way it's gonna get better is if you do the work. And that's why people say that he's mean or something, because it's just the truth.
He's
like
just telling them the truth.
It's just the truth. And especially like, I feel like it's in this position of working with people that are morbidly obese, where like they could die. You have to be like that. Like, there's no other way to do it. Like, you cannot coddle them because they could die. And I feel like he makes that so clear. And I feel like that's what people think is controversial, because he's always saying that these people are going to die. Like, that's just causing them anxiety and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, they need that
They
push.
are
like,
going to die.
Like, they are literally going to die if they do not get better. And that's something that, like, a little segue into another show that I don't know if you grew up watching it as much, but Intervention.
God, yes. I don't watch it anymore. Honestly, it's too much.
I
It's
love
too
it.
much
Like,
for me.
my husband, he loves that show. And I was like, want to watch this other one that I watched growing up? And he's like, yeah, let's watch it. And him being a recovering alcoholic, he loved it. Like, watching all of these people like going through their addiction. And that show, it was a little older. That show started in 2005, and my 600-pound life started in 2012. So I remember watching that show with my mom, Intervention with my mom, and I was like 7, no reason I should be watching this, but I was like 7 watching people struggle with like really, really hard addictions. So like hard drugs and alcohol, and watching how their illness not only impacted them, but impacted their family to a way that they need help and we don't know how to help. So they had to hire someone to do an intervention. And basically it's the same thing. Like this one had a little bit more like manipulative, where the addict thinks that they're doing a documentary about addiction. So they're filming their story on what it's like to be an addict, but in reality at the end it ends up with an intervention. And I remember watching this show and watching these drug addicts, and it's the same thing. They grew up with people that were drug addicts. They grew up like feeling alone, feeling unloved, watching domestic violence, being survivors of sexual or emotional abuse. And it's the same way. They just chose a different drug.
Exactly. They just chose it. And honestly, like I've tried watching that show, but my husband really despises it because I think it gives him a lot of anxiety thinking, what if our kids become drug addicts? And I think that because I read Matthew Perry's book on his book, which is very strong. Is the only word that I could find right now to describe it. And in the book, he talks about his addiction to basically everything, like drugs, alcohol. Like he was just addicted. He was just an addict. He was just an overall addict to anything.
And he also had a food addiction.
To anything he could get his hands on. But he talks in his book very interestingly about how if he can pinpoint his addiction to one moment, it was when his parents divorced. And he needed to go, I don't remember with his mom or his dad, but he needed to fly to one of his parents, and he had to fly by himself. And you remember that in that moment, he just felt so alone in the world. Like he describes it as like everyone kept referring to him as an unaccompanied minor. Everyone kept describing him as that. And that just stuck in his head about how he felt like he was so alone in the world because both of his parents moved on with their life and had a family of their own. And now he was just kind of in the middle, shuffling around between families that he didn't feel like they were his. And he said that in that moment, he felt like he was just alone in the world. And so he ended up getting an injury and they prescribed him Oxycontin, I believe. And that he just became addicted to the feeling. And I don't know if it's his book or someone else's book. Maybe it was Josh Peck's book that described the addiction of Oxycontin, like having warm honey dumped on top of you. And I was like,
that's terrifying.
Feels amazing. It's like, oh my God.
That's so specific.
So specific. But it talks about like the feeling of when that drug hits and like that feeling of like nothing ever not being okay ever again until your high goes down and having to seek that high all over again. And how his dad, Matthew Perry's dad, was an alcoholic, but he got remarried and it was driving a wedge between his new family. And so he just decided to one day just stop drinking. He was like, I'm just not going to drink anymore. And that one day Matthew Perry was talking to his dad and she was telling him like, I have spent millions of dollars on rehab centers and everything. And he's like, and you just decided one day to stop and you did? He's like, I don't understand why I'm like this, why I can't stop, even though I've tried to get all the help and spent all this money on recovery. And it's just those things that are just so unexplainable.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Matthew Perry's story is one that's going to haunt me forever. Yeah. And I can never watch Friends again without thinking about that, because it's crazy how, if anyone that knows who Matthew Perry is in Friends, if you haven't watched his interview with Diane Sawyer, it is probably one of the most traumatic things I've ever watched in my life, because they show clips of him from Friends and have him describe how he was feeling in that moment. And for me, it was crazy seeing him say, oh yeah, I can tell that I was on drugs because I'm really skinny there. Or, oh, here I was addicted to alcohol because I gained weight. And then here I was sober, but I'm fat because I was looking towards food. So then his addiction became food. Yeah. And then he like started like saying this and that, like having him basically say that he felt like watching him back in Friends, he doesn't even recognize that person. He's like, I don't even remember filming this because I was just so encapsulated with my addiction that I couldn't think about anything else. Yeah. He's like, all I can remember was my lines and when I'm going to get my next hit. And I'm like, that is just insane to me. Like how it could just dominate your life on that kind of level where like you're a millionaire, billionaire, trillionaire. addiction can get you.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter who you are.
And he spent, like, I don't remember the exact amount, but he said it in his book, of amount of millions of dollars that he spent on rehab centers, but he could just never stop. Like, he's like, he could just never get it out of control. And I think at the end of his life, or in that interview with Diane Sawyer, he talked about like never wanting to be alone. Because he was like, when I'm alone, that's when the monster of drug addiction comes back and tries to pull me in.
Yeah.
When I'm alone, they're thinking, and he was alone because he never got married and he never had kids. And it just goes to show you, and that's why my husband doesn't like watching Intervention, because he's like, honestly, like, it gives me so much anxiety thinking that, like, what if my child one day, because we both come from families with addiction. So it's like, sometimes, and it's really interesting because my husband comes from a family, his dad was an alcoholic, and he comes basically living, when he was a child, his dad probably is only like a 2 decades maybe, or maybe like 15 years that he hasn't drank. I'm not sure, but somewhere around that range. And so he grew up with his dad being an alcoholic, and he doesn't have that addiction gene. Like, it's really funny because my husband is just a very unhinged person. So he talks about how he's tried cocaine and he's tried crystal meth and he has tried marijuana, and he's like, I just never like liked it. Like, he's like, it was just whatever. Like, I didn't feel anything. Like, my husband doesn't drink. Like, he basically, really, I wouldn't describe him as being an addict, even though he comes from family of addiction. But just like he tried it and didn't get addicted to it, anybody could try it and get addicted to it on the first try. You could try it for the first time and never be able to stop. Yeah. And that's the scary part. Yeah. It's like, you don't know what you're passing on to your kids. I know that we're passing them on the genes of addiction, but how that they're gonna, or like you, like, we have family with addiction, but you don't drink. Yeah. Like, you know, and I talk about, like, even in the pits of being so depressed and feeling like I didn't have anything to make it feel better, like, I think about like addiction and me, and I'm like, yeah, like, I was addicted to alcohol, and I think maybe the only reason I was never into drugs was because I'm so cheap, and I don't want to spend money on drugs. Like, I would rather go to the mall, but I do have a really big addiction to shopping and spending money, impulsively spending money. So it can just present itself in all these different ways. And I think watching the Intervention is just so raw and so real. Yeah. Yeah. That I feel like that show is definitely raw. Like, it is honest. It is like, it shows you them doing the drugs. It shows you how they get the drugs, how they afford the drugs, like how their family goes into play here, and like their past, why they even started drugs, how they started drugs. Like, it goes into everything. And I feel like for me, being like 7, 8 years old watching this, I was like, I'm never doing drugs. Like, and it scared me straight. Like, I've never gone into hard drugs. Like, I could honestly say that I haven't done hard drugs, and I don't think I ever would try hard drugs, just out of the pure fear of, like, we have the addiction gene. Like, what if I like it too much and like I get addicted? Like, I remember when I had cysts on my ovaries, when I had to go to the ER, they put me on morphine, and I was like, can you please stop whatever it is that you're giving me? It made my veins feel like they were on fire. Like, I felt on another planet, but I could when people say I could feel my blood, I could feel my blood. Like, it was just like the most unsettling feeling that I'm like, is this what it's like to like shoot up or be high? Like, I was on this just another parallel universe, but I told my husband, I'm like, I don't like the feeling. Like, maybe different drugs feel differently. I don't know. But I feel like I'm personally someone that I don't have that need, you know? Yeah. My addiction is food. Like, I could honestly say, out of all of the things that I could be addicted to, my addiction is food. Like, alcohol is kind of like I will get drunk off of one glass, and I'm one of those people that will open a beer and carry the beer the entire day. Like, I'm not like that. And, you know, I'm not a shopper. Like, I am very frugal. I'm very cheap. I don't like to spend money. So I'm not someone that likes to travel that much. Like, our sister's a traveling fiend. Like, she loves to travel. And, you know, there's people that have all of these different addictions, but out of all the addictions, my addiction is food, which is very unfortunate because, like I said, it's the one thing that it's one of the things that you need to live. So for me, like, I would have rather been addicted to something else. Like, I would have rather been addicted to alcohol and gone through rehab, because that's something that I
feel like it would have been easier for me to get past. But this addiction to food is something that I'm going to live with the rest of my life. And it's something that I have to confront every single day that I wake up and I'm like, oh, I want something from the street today, but I'm not going to. And it's funny because now that I've become more frugal, because a little sneak peek to another episode of ours, I just bought a house.
Yay!
And now I'm like more than anything on top of my budget. And I'm like, okay, I can't eat out anymore because it's not in my budget. And I feel like that's the only thing that's going to make me stop. Because if it was just me and my health, that wouldn't make me stop. And that's the sad reality. And that's where I feel like I identify so much with people with my 600-pound life, that I understand what it's like to not have your health be enough of a reason to stop. And that's when they describe their feelings. I'm like, I feel exactly like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, they tell them like, you are going to die. And most of them still can't stop.
Yeah.
They still cannot stop. That is not like, and it's another thing that goes to show you like addiction is bigger than love. It's bigger than anything, because it's like some of these people have children, small children, and parents and spouses and people who rely on them. And still, that is not enough to stop, because they just cannot. Like, there's people who have grandchildren and they are like, there is no love in the world that's big enough to stop them from their addiction. And it's amazing to see the ones who do and who really turn their life around and who really do the hard work. But I think it's also saddening, because a lot of them describe it as like the only thing in the world that used to make me feel better. Now I can't do it. And so now they have to like literally rebuild their life and build healthy eating habits and find, you know, their relationships with their family change, because all of a sudden they don't need their family as much, or they don't need their spouse as much. And, you know, you would think that that's a good thing, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes the other person doesn't see it as a good thing. And they have to like start going to therapy, and they have to start, you know, fitting exercise into their life. And food is no longer a personal experience that they look forward to. Now they're just eating for fuel. And just watching them go through all of that. And even after they go through all of that, they still have a bunch of skin surgery that they need to go through. And the big commitment to that, to having these huge surgeries to remove their skin, and basically just being a lifelong journey for them, even if they do lose the weight.
Yeah, I feel that's so hard. Like, it's literally forever. And I think sometimes they get so caught up in the fact that it's a lifelong commitment that they're like, I'll start it one day.
Yeah. And
that is my downfall. Like, that is my pit, is I'll start it one day, or, you know, I have a lot of time. I'll get there.
It's always the Monday. I'll start on Monday.
The Monday. It's always that's the typical bad dieting thing, is I'm going to start on Monday. But I feel like I am now at a point where I'm actively working through this, and these last 3 months have definitely not been easy. And I think for me, I was like the same as you. I'm going to give myself 2 weeks. And if after 2 weeks, I'm not back on my ish, I'm going to reach out to my nutritionist. And I really didn't want to. And I really felt like the same thing of like, they're going back to therapy. Like, I really feel like, dang, I like failed miserably, and now I have to go back. And I remember I texted her and I was like, hey, I was so nervous because I hadn't reached out to her forever. And I was like, oh my God, she's literally not even answer my text message. But I reached out to her and I was like, hey, I want to get back on it with my weight loss journey and I need your help. And she was like, okay. And she gave me an appointment, and I met with her through FaceTime. And I remember her voice is so reassuring to me. Like, she's such like an upbeat person, to the point where I'm like, she just makes me feel better, you know? And I connected with her, and she was like, why are you here? Like, why do you want to like keep going? Like, what is your goal? And I was like, honestly, I just want to feel better with myself. I was like, I just want to get to a point where I feel good in my body, and I feel good with my diet, and I feel good with my lifestyle. And she's like, okay, like, we're going to get started, but, cause now I've lost 60 pounds. And she's like, you've lost so much weight that we have to see how your body reacts to different diets. Like, it's going to be like a trial and error kind of thing. And I obviously was not expecting that. And she was like, okay, we're going to start with a diet, like a higher carb diet, to see how your body responds. And so she put like bread and a cheat meal and granola and potatoes and all this stuff, that my original diet was like beans, protein, tortillas, and that's about it. And I was like, and at first I was like, that's way too much food. Like, is that even going to make me lose weight? Is that even going to be healthy for me? And this and that. And she's like, I also want you to get out of this idea that there's a good food and a bad food. She's like, if you eat this once, it's not going to kill you. She's like, just eat it once and move on. Like, it's like one thing isn't going to break your progress. And she's like, I'm also doing this to get you out of the mentality that your diet is the only thing that can make you happy. She's like, you have to find out happiness outside of your diet and outside of how you look and outside of your body. Because if you wake up every day and think, I hate my body, like, that's just going to make you hate your body even more.
Yeah.
She's like, I want you to wake up and think, this is what I'm going to eat today. I'm not going to overthink it. My body looks the same as it did yesterday, and it's fine. It's like, everything's okay. And just find other things that make you happy. And I'm like, that's gonna be hard.
That's crazy. Wow. She's definitely, she's amazing. And I can hear it in her voice too. So it makes it even
and then
more.
she just repeats her name like Miranda. And I'm like, oh, you just reassured me. Like, I just love you.
Miranda. Oh my God, I love her. But I think that's so true because I switched nutritionist, and when I was with the one you're currently with now, she gave me like a very specific diet. And then when I switched to my other nutritionist, she gave me things that weren't on my previous diet, like bread and potatoes. And I was like, oh, I can't eat that. That's going to make me gain weight. No, that's not how it works. And I think that that's very true. Like, in our mind, we have things that are good and things that are bad. Yeah. And like bread, potatoes, rice, like all those things are things that are considered bad. And things that are going to I consider are going to make me gain weight. And so when my new nutritionist put that on my diet, I was reluctant to eat it because I was like, no, what if I eat that and then it makes me gain weight? And they don't know what they're doing. I'm like, it's so hard for me to trust. And even now, like this week I have on my diet, I have to eat 2 pieces of bread a day. And honestly, I feel guilty. I feel guilty eating those things. Like, did I read that right? Like, I'm not sure if she got that right, you know? But then it's like, I've been with her for so long now that I'm like, obviously I have the trust in her that I know she knows what she's doing, but I don't trust myself to eat those things. I feel like it's wrong.
Well, we grew up with that environment where it's like, if you want to lose weight, you have to eat cabbage soup every single day for a month. Like, that was our idea of healthy eating. But in reality, it's not. Like, if you look at people that are the healthiest of eaters, they're eating rice, they're eating potatoes, but they're also eating their protein, their vegetables, they're exercising. Like, the food is not the all be of a healthy or unhealthy lifestyle. If you eat it mindfully and eat it for fuel and eat it for the right reasons, because I think that's where, like, full circle, it comes back to My 600 Pound Life, where it's like they're eating to fulfill the pleasure zone and fulfill like the dopamine hit and to mute the voices in their head that are reminding them of all these traumatic things. When in reality, like, what do you do when like you have something that's occupying your brain? You go to therapy. What do you do when you're feeling overwhelmed? You can go on a walk. What do you do when you're feeling sad? You can journal, you can meditate, you can think, you can like do anything else. But where do we always go to? We go to food.
Yeah.
That's our like one-stop shop of the thing that's going to make us feel better. But in reality, like, that's not sustainable. And it's really hard getting to a place where you realize, like, there's so many other things I can do to make myself feel better and make myself happy, but I don't want to try them because I know what's going to fix it, and it's food.
Well, in the show, what happens a lot of the time is like Dr. Now, he's really straight. He's like, this is what you're going to eat. He tells you exactly what to do. And a lot of people, they won't do it. Like, I know there's some episodes where like he gives them like a diet where they eat 3 times a day and tells them exactly what to eat and exactly how many calories everything has so that they can count it to make sure that they're eating the right calories. And I remember there was this one episode where this person came in and was like, oh yeah, instead of eating breakfast, I drink a protein shake. And he's like, why are you doing that? I told you exactly what to eat and you're not doing it. And it's like, oh, but it's like, I didn't tell you to drink a protein shake. I told you to eat food, real food. It's like, eat the protein, eat the vegetables, but they don't want to do that. They just want to take the easy way out. And I think that it's so instinctual to take the easy way out and to do these like rapid diets and this keto diet and this like low carb diet and the cabbage soup diet and the tuna diet instead of just eating correctly.
Yeah.
The right foods in the right quantities. That's literally all you need. But it's like, we feel like we always have to like take the easy way out.
Mhm.
And I think that's the hardest part about like this journeys. And obviously these people, like, they're very overweight, and so they lose a lot of weight really fast because their body is basically like, what's happening? And
And
so
it's a lot of water weight.
it's just a lot of weight really, really fast. But then it does come to a point where they plateau and then they're not losing that much weight. And that's when Dr. Now's like, okay, now you have the surgery, because he makes them lose weight before he even does the surgery to make sure that they're ready to change their lifestyle. So then once they they come to kind of like a plateau, even when they have weight loss surgery, they still come to a plateau in time. And that's when he starts doing like the skin removal surgery and all of these things. But it's like, it never fails that like every episode they just want to take the easy way out, or they want to like do it their own way. And he's like, I didn't tell you to do that. I told you to, this way's the way that works, and you're not listening. And they just don't want to listen. And it's just so insane watching like all the journey and be like, I think we all kind of go through that, where we all want to kind of just the fastest, easiest way possible, instead of, like you said, just doing the thing that actually works, which is diet and exercise. But it's the hardest thing. Like, even if it's the thing that works, it's so hard. Like, I feel that when I first started my diet, I was like, if I cheat a little here and I cheat a little there, is it really going to matter in the end? But then like the whole cycle would start again, where it's like, now I'm just like, oh, the whole day went to crap, so I'm just like gonna eat like bad the whole day and it'll be better tomorrow. And I feel like right now I'm getting to a point where I have to learn how to heal this within myself, because I don't want to pass this along to my kids. And as always, it comes back to Malachi. Like, having Malachi say that his family just has such a healthy lifestyle, like, I want to build something like that. And it has to start somewhere, and the somewhere has to be with us. Like, if not, we're not going to make it. Yeah, I mean, we definitely have to change it. I think just like, and I think a lot about what you said about how like having a daughter and having people constantly comment about her and her weight and what she eats and how much she eats. And it's like, those are the things that we have to like, and honestly, I don't know what the right thing to do is, because sometimes I'm like, go to the extreme where I'm like, I'm not going to let them eat fast food. I'm not going to let them eat junk food. I'm just going to like deprive them of that. But then it's like, you think about the addiction mindset where it's like, you were deprived of that as a child. So then as an adult, you want to get like, you want all of it. You want to get everything all the time, because you're like, okay, eventually one day they're going to have their own cars. They're going to have their own house. They're going to have their freedom, and they're going to make those choices. So it's like, okay. So then it was like taboo. It's the same with drugs. Yeah, exactly. With everything, it's taboo. So then like, you want to try it. You want to have it all the time. And then I kind of go back to, okay, fine. What if I just let them have it like, you know, twice a month or something? Because like my kids, like, they love McDonald's. And I'm like, how can I tell you not to have it when I want it all the time? And now I'm just kind of really fast and loose with it. Now I'm just kind of like, you know what? If it comes up in conversation, or if they ask me for it and they won't let it go, sure, fine, let's have it. You know, I don't want it to become something so taboo that they seek out so much because it was something they were so deprived of. But then it's like, you never really know. Like, in our house, like, we weren't allowed to have soda, and I don't drink soda. I literally have not drank soda probably in like 2 decades. But then it's like, you guys, all of my sisters are addicted to Diet Coke. They're addicted to Diet Coke. But it's like, mine started because of my husband. Our oldest sister started because she moved to Mexico and everyone drank soda there. And our other sister started also because of her husband. But it's the funniest thing. Like, it was so taboo, and now I'm like, it's just soda. But it's the same. It's like, it's so hard to stop drinking it because we grew up in an environment where it's like, this is like against the rules. You know? This is taboo. This is if it's like risky behavior. Well, it's like, you either go one of two, either you go to the extreme of you're like, I want it all the time because I was never allowed to have it as a kid, or you go like Malachi and you're like, well, we just never grew up with that stuff around. So we don't crave it because we never had it. And because like, we never know what it tastes like. Exactly. Like, it's the same thing where like, we crave it because we know what it tastes like. We know what it's like. We know what it's like to eat it. But, you know, if we never have it, it's like, what? That's like Popeyes. Like, I don't even know. Like I want to try it, but I don't want to spend my money to try something new and then not like it. So that I just keep to my basics. And I'm like, yeah, and for me, it's so funny because it's always the same. Like, I only ever crave Wingstop or McDonald's, but the Wingstop is like all the way across town. So it ends up usually being that like, that's more of a ritual. And McDonald's is the thing that's closest to me. But I remember at first, it was like, I would only have McDonald's when my kids were asleep so that I didn't have to give it to them because I didn't want them to like have McDonald's. But my husband was like, but you can have it, but they can't have it. And I'm like,
you're like,
well,
yes, don't question the system.
I'm like, well, you know, what is it? Like, do as I say, not as I do, you know? But then it comes to, you know, it's like, you can't prevent it. And I used to get really frustrated when like, I would let them go to their grandparents' house and the grandparents would give them like fast food and all this stuff. And now I'm just kind of like more to the part of like, I'm just not going to buy the junk food. And if it's not here, they won't crave it. If it's here, like they'll see it and they'll want it. But if it's not here, it's not even in their mind.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of let go a little bit. But every time they eat it, I feel so guilty. And I'm like, what if that's the thing that brings them the addiction?
That's how I felt the other day. I was at my mom's house and my daughter had just ate dinner. And then we went to her house. And as soon as we walked in, my mom always serves her something to eat. Like without fail. And so my mom made her like strawberry popsicles, like homemade strawberry popsicles. And I was like, yeah, it's fine. And as of now, I'm going on 15 months of only making her homemade things, which I'm very proud of. And she was like sitting in her chair and my mom comes over with a box of Fruit Loops. I was going to lose my mind. I was like, I need to chill. It's just Fruit Loops. It's not going to kill her. But internally, I was dying. I was like, I work so hard to make sure everything she has, like I make it at home and like I freaking make her own yogurt patches and I make her own granola bars and I make her everything from scratch. And now she's over here serving her Fruit Loops. Like, like, you know, but you need some balance. I was like, there has to be balance. I'm going to just, you know, swallow it. I'm not going to say anything, but internally I was dying. Yeah, I get that feeling. But I think I've come full circle around where it's like, I'll control it in the moments I can, which is usually when we're home. And we usually are home. We go out very little, you know? So I'm like, so I control it when I'm at home. But you know what the hard part is? That you're probably going to reach this point soon where like, now my kids go, like my oldest son goes to daycare. And so it's like, what do I pack in his lunchbox? Like, because it's like, it can't be something that has to be warmed up. It has to be something, but it's like, what are my options, you know, to send him to school? And then I feel bad. And I'm like, okay, what if the kids at school get like goldfish and I send him there with like blueberries and you know it's like he's gonna crave it and then the kids can't share food, so it's like you come into like this whole new realm of like, okay, now you're at a point where they're not home that much anymore or less, so it's like now I can't control what the outsider. Sometimes like, you know, at their school they'll have pizza parties and you know things like that, and it's like, okay, I'm not gonna tell him like, oh, you can't give my son pizza, right? It's like there's like this whole new realm of problems. Well, he takes the cheese and pepperoni off anyway. I know. It's like you bread. Just eat the bread. And it's really interesting because, you know, he's really picky eater. And when I had him diagnosed for autism, they told me that that's actually a really big thing with autistic kids. Really? Because they're really picky because of the texture of the food. So usually if you notice, like they only like a certain texture of food. That's true. And so that's why they're so picky, because they don't like either the smell or the texture of the food. And so they told me that in order to get him to eat a bigger range of foods, to give him new foods with the same texture. So what, like hard foods? I'm like, all he eats is bread. So like, I don't know. Oh, that boy loves him some bread. He got that from little raccoon. Just nicking bread at night. Yeah, he'll like go into the pantries and like take the bread out and like start eating it. Like he'll just eat a whole like dry bagel, just like take bites out of it. Oh, okay, well. Before we wrap up, we are going to be adding a Google form to our Instagram and in the description of this episode. Let us know what you'd like us to talk about or what questions you want us to answer. We actually have 25 weekly listeners, which is absolutely insane. It's crazy to think we started this and, you know, couldn't hear anything. There was barely any audio. And honestly, we'd love to know who you all are. And if you'd be interested in doing a Zoom call where we can all talk about the show together, let us know. That would be really fun. Yes. So thank you, everyone, for your support. It means so much to us. But thanks for listening. Make sure to like, follow, and give us a 5-star review if you're liking the podcast. Also, check out our Instagram. We share behind-the-scenes photos and updates after every episode. And if you're interested in being a guest, the link is in our caption and Instagram bio. New episodes drop every Monday. See you next week on Choices Are Made. Bye. Thank you.